G'day friends and folks, and welcome back to another Q&A session. Now, what separates this Q&A session from every other Q&A session that I've done in the past is that I have another person, another being, another soul to help me answer some of these questions.
That's right. And I don't know about human or soul, but being, I would say I'm in there.
Absolutely. So let's get straight into this first question, which is, if you were to be any character in Dragon Ball Z, who would it be?
All right, well, I'll go first on this one. I have it narrowed down to two people. One is Mr. Satan because he never dies and he's a millionaire. He never does anything except for let other people win his battles for him and take credit for it. He lives a pretty good life, so I would pick him. And other than that, I pick Whis because he's a being called Whis and nobody can mess with him.
I mean, I can't argue with that. I would like to be Mr. Satan, but there's so many better people out there. For example, Vegeta, he's just pure badass. Another person who Bills. Oh, not Bills. I can't believe I said Bills. Beerus.
Same thing.
Beerus.
Beerus.
Beerus doesn't have to. Beerus just is. I was thinking about this the other day. Like, what if I had Beerus's power? I could just go off, not worry about anything. I could just like fly off out of the earth and pretty much just do whatever I want. So like, I mean, you can't really beat that. If you were Mr. Satan, you would have money, but you wouldn't be able to. You wouldn't be able to like do what Beerus could do.
I mean, I picked Whis, but at the same time, I do think Beerus is a better pick because Whis has to babysit Beerus, and Beerus doesn't really have to do anything except destroy stuff, and so everybody wants to do that. But hey, it works. I mean, who else? I mean, maybe Fat Beerus from Dragon Ball Super would be the only thing you have to worry about, but we don't know that yet.
We don't know that yet. That's for a future video. Now, moving on to the next question, which is if DC, Marvel, and the Dragon Ball characters would all pretty much just fight, who would come out on top?
We talked about this a little bit before we started recording this video, and it's tough because you've got gods in every one of the universes. You know, you mentioned Superman Prime, then you've got in the Marvel universe, you've got Eternity, Infinity, Galactus, you've got the one above all. Then in Dragon Ball, you've got Whis. So this is an unanswerable question, but if I was really to think about it, I would probably say that the one above all or the Living Tribunal would probably screw everybody up. Same thing with Franklin Richards, who, as we know from the Marvel comics, can create his own pocket universes. So I don't know anybody in Dragon Ball who can do that. So actually, I would probably say Marvel, dude. Honestly, I hate to say it because I'm a Dragon Ball guy first, but Franklin Richards can make universes.
Honestly, for me, I would like to say Dragon Ball, but there's absolutely no way that anyone in Dragon Ball Z could compete with Superman Prime. There's no way. I have been doing a little bit of reading on Franklin Richards. Isn't he the son of the two Fantastic Four members?
Yeah, Susan and Reed. Yeah, he's basically the son of Mr. Fantastic and the Invisible Woman. But it's interesting because, you know, he's their son and he's actually a mutant. Like, he was born with the X gene like the mutants are. But he's like the highest. He's literally a god. Like, literally a god. He's the highest level mutant they have. I don't know about the highest, but he's one of the highest. And during the whole Onslaught storyline, he literally, like, Onslaught killed a number of superheroes. He actually preserved them into a pocket universe that he kept in his yo-yo. So just trippy, bro. It's just
that's insane. I remember reading somewhere that Galactus feared him. Is that true?
Yeah, because Franklin Richards, dude, Franklin Richards can create the universe, bro. I mean, it's scary. It really is scary. Yeah, I mean, he's been feared by a lot of people. But then you want to get into the debate about, like, okay, what if Thanos had the Infinity Gauntlet? Because with the Infinity Gauntlet, he destroyed half the universe, you know, coming to a theater near you in about 5 years. But I don't know if Franklin's can mess with that. But that's a tough one, bro. But, yeah, all I'm saying is that Superman Prime and Franklin Richards, just those two could probably wipe out the Dragon Ball universe. I'd hate to say it because I love Dragon Ball, but it's just, dude, it's like a different level of power.
We may see someone in Dragon Ball as it progresses, as the storyline progresses, maybe in Dragon Ball Super, we may see someone even more powerful than Franklin Richards. I'm not sure. I'm, you know, only speculating. Maybe we might, if Akira Toriyama decides to go down that route, but I don't see what would be the point of introducing someone that powerful in Dragon Ball Z. I personally wouldn't see a point to that. And for Dragon Ball Z, it's always like Goku has to overcome, well, not just Goku, but the fighters, they have to overcome their challenge. And if it's pretty much an omnipotent being, they can't really overcome that. So I don't see anyone like that being introduced into Dragon Ball Z. So it's pretty much just a fight between Marvel and DC who would win. And I mean, you're saying Marvel. I'm probably going to have to agree from what you've just said, but I mean, I'm not anywhere near knowledgeable enough to answer this question as well as you did. So
It's a tough one, man. It really, because we're talking about gods now, and and there's the god hierarchy. People get confused about the Dragon Ball god hierarchy with the Kais, the Supreme Kais, and then Beerus and Whis, and then the Shinjin and all that. But the god hierarchy in Marvel, bro, is to the point where it's freaking mind-numbing. The Celestials, Galactus, the In-Betweener, like all these, the Death, Lady Death, who's literally the representation of death, and it's whacked out, bro. It really, like, honestly, in my opinion, man, those kind of cosmic Marvel stories, I'm not a huge fan of them. I like some of them. I'm not a huge fan because they seem to be way too complicated.
I mean, I personally haven't read like anything to do with Marvel. I've only seen the movies, and I've only read a little bit online. But other than that, yeah, it seems insane that the amount of power that they have. But I think we've been answering this question for a while now. But moving on to the next question, which is more of a lighter question, more of a fun question. If there was a button and you pressed it, you would be in the Dragon Ball Z world, but you would be Yamcha. Would you press it?
Absolutely, because I get some of that. I'm gonna edit myself here to be PG. I would totally like to be Yamcha because let's just say that he gets to benefit from certain characters. How about that?
I mean, yeah. I mean, Yamcha's not a bad character to be. Like, if you were to say, let's edit this question a little bit, all right? Let's just say if you were to press a button and you were Turtle, would you press it?
No. And I certainly wouldn't press it to be Poir because then you'd hate me.
I love the references. I absolutely love the references. Now, the next question is mainly for me. I'm not sure if you know anything about this. We were talking about this before. I don't think you do. But this guy is pretty much asking, I just saw your older videos and saw that you go for the Rabbitohs, who are a team in the NRL, Rugby League. Are you going to watch the State of Origin? If so, who are you going for? I would assume New South Wales. Also, do you have an interest in rugby union? Cheers. Alright, so there's different parts to this question. I did make a Rabbitohs video, but that was only because they won the grand final last year. If they didn't win the grand final, I probably wouldn't have made that montage. I said to myself I wanted to make a montage of whoever took out the premiership. And since it was the Rabbitohs, I, did it for them, obviously. So I don't actually go for New South Wales because I don't live in New South Wales. I live in Queensland. So, obviously I go for Queensland. I am going to watch the State of Origin. The State of Origin, it's appeared, Game 1's happened, Queensland won that, and Game 2 just happened yesterday. New South Wales unfortunately won that, so it's all up for deciders in Game 3, which is going to be in Suncorp Stadium, Brisbane, which I'm personally really looking forward to. And to answer the final part of the question, rugby union, I haven't really watched it. I'm more into rugby league. But I mean, I have played rugby union. I definitely like the game, but to watch, I prefer rugby league more to watch.
Now, I'm just getting into like learning about rugby league from you and Super Jayan. Shout out to Super Jayan. I was going to ask you a question here kind of related to it. In Australia, when you go to one of these games, do they jip you on the freaking food like they do in this country?
I mean, everything in Australia is much more expensive than it is in America. But I would say not really. I mean,
it's like $4 for a hot dog.
Gum in Australia is $1. I mean, I've heard that that's like a rip-off because some guy told me that in America it was like 50 cents or something. So
yeah, and it used to be like 15 cents back in the day, or like 10 cents. Yeah, bro. No, it's just that when we go to sports games here, like American football or baseball, all that stuff, it's just, bro, it's just $8 a drink. Oh, and here's the other one too. Oh, I'll never forget this one. I went to a Buccaneers game, who is a horrible football team, by the way. I went to a Bucs game, and I remember I asked for a Coke light ice, and the guy's like, I cannot give you light ice. I'm like, why? I don't want that much ice. He goes, I can't do it. It's part of the rules. Because they want to save every little bit with that extra ice in there, bro. That's how cheap they are.
These companies, man, it's the new world order, I'm telling you.
That's a topic for another video, bro. I was asked to do a video about that. Maybe I will one day.
But now moving on to the next question. Who is your non-canon favorite character?
Are you gonna go first, or shall I?
I mean, I'm still trying to think. I'm probably going to say Pycon, to be honest. There's not non-canon. Maybe Gogeta in the Janemba movie, or maybe Janemba himself.
That's what I was gonna say. Janemba. Janemba's my favorite movie villain. I would probably go with Janemba. Yep. That's what I would go with. But there's a few good ones back in like Dragon Ball, like some underrated picks. Like if you watch Dragon Ball, like the little green fox guy was kind of cool. The old fisherman was kind of cool in Dragon Ball. But yeah, I would go with Janemba because he's just awesome. He's like,
if Janemba could talk, that would be. I feel that would have been better because Janemba, it felt like he was just more of a clone of Kid Buu, to be honest. Like he couldn't talk. I would have preferred it if he could talk. Then he would probably be my favorite, but I'm going to have to go with Gogeta when he fought Janemba.
Yeah, and Gogeta. The thing about Gogeta is that he's not technically canon, but he could be because Goku and Vegeta could do the fusion. So it's like I would call it like secondary canon in that it's possible, but we never see it. Kind of like how the Grand Kai is not in Dragon Ball Z, the manga, but he does exist because Toriyama created him. So it's like secondary canon. We don't see him, but he's there. So I guess you could say that. I don't know.
Absolutely. Now moving on to the next question, which is, have you ever thought that Dragon Ball sounds like dragon porn?
No.
No. Now moving on to the next question, which is, who is your favorite YouTuber besides yourself?
Expert Games.
Geekdom 101.
It's an easy question. On to the next one.
Next question, which is, why is Super Saiyan God Super Saiyan's hair blue? If you think about it, if you really think about it, Super Saiyan God Super Saiyan, isn't it defined as being Super Saiyan God, which their hair is red, plus the original, normal golden Super Saiyan? And if you fuse those colors together, wouldn't that make orange?
Yes, it would. It doesn't make any sense. Yeah. Well, what Toriyama said in an interview recently, what happened is if you went to Japan and you went to go see the movie in theaters, you got this little book. And the book, there's all these little tidbits. And one of the tidbits was an interview with Toriyama where they asked him about this. And he said that he made Goku's hair and Vegeta's hair, spoiler, blue because he felt that Goku was tranquil and that it represented the fact that he had complete mastery of the form. So that's the best explanation that can be given from the guy who created it himself.
So Toriyama's gone for symbolism.
He does that a lot, believe it or not. He does do that a lot. But a lot of it is beneath the surface. So a lot of people have also said that, the colors of a fire, how it's like red, yellow, and then blue. That's another little thing, which is kind of wrong because red is stronger than yellow in Dragon Ball Z with the last two movies. But blue is the hottest flame, so there's something to that as well.
I heard that, yeah. But moving on to the next question, which is, I think this is mainly for me, unless you can answer this question as well. What dub of Dragon Ball Z aired in Australia? I wasn't around when it initially aired in Australia. I mean, I wasn't, to be frank, I wasn't old enough. But the version that I watched on Cartoon Network was just the basic Funimation dub. It wasn't the Ocean dub, it wasn't the Blue Water dub. It had Bruce Falconer's music. I remember that specifically. But
let me ask you a question about that though. Did you guys get it like in seasons, or did you get like the whole thing in one shot?
I remember watching. It was the end of the Buu saga, like right at the end of the Buu saga when Goku was fighting Oob at the tournament. This was my first time experiencing Dragon Ball Z.
Oh, so you started at the end?
No. It was weird because I didn't get to sit down and watch it every single day. Like I saw it like on TV sometimes. Whenever I was flicking the channels, I saw Dragon Ball Z. I was like, oh, this is cool. I will watch this. I originally started with Ginyu versus Goku, but then next time I saw it, it was Goku versus Oob.
That's quite a skip.
Yeah, it is. And then next time I was like, oh, I see Goku flying off with Oob, and the one thing I noticed, it didn't have the next time on Dragon Ball Z, because usually at the end of each episode it has next time on Dragon Ball Z and it goes into, the highlights of next episode. It didn't do that for the final episode, and I was thinking, like, why isn't it doing it? It can't possibly end there. Like, I didn't think it was going to end there, because, like, as a kid, like, what? It doesn't make sense. So I tuned in the very next day just to see what happened, and guess where it started?
Radix?
Exactly.
Oh, well, at least you got to see it from beginning to end then.
That's not where I watched it from beginning to end. I just went out and bought all the seasons because I couldn't wait, all those days. I just wanted to watch it like in sequence, like
Marathon.
episode after episode. Exactly.
Yeah. Well, that's interesting because here it was all jacked up because they, season 1 was the Vegeta saga, season 2 was the Namek saga, season 3 was the Ginyu and Frieza saga, season 4 was the Trunks, was actually the entire Cell arc from Trunks all the way to the end of Cell, and then season 5 was the Otherworld tournament all the way to Vegeta killing himself or sacrificing himself or whatever. And the thing that's interesting is that they actually grouped the Otherworld tournament with the Gray Saiyaman arc, which is actually wrong. That's completely wrong. I don't know why they did that. And then it was weird, bro, because season 6 was from when Vegeta sacrificed himself. And we thought it was going to go all the way to the end of the series, but they took a break right around like the Vegito episodes and then came back like 4 months later with the final like 10 episodes. It was very weird as to why they did that. I don't really know, but I know that like The Walking Dead does that now where you'll have half a season, a break, and then another half. Maybe that's what they were going for, but I know it was really weird the way they put that out like that. Do they air Kai now?
I honestly, I don't know. I don't watch TV. Like,
me neither, bro.
Like, they could be. I have no clue. Like, I'm pretty sure they must be. Like, it's on Nickelodeon, wasn't it? So
it was.
Yeah, it's probably, most likely. But moving on to the next question, which is, what do you think of the Ocean dub? Now,
well, do you want me to go first or you?
I mean, I think you're more experienced with dubs. And, I mean, with as far as dubs go, I've only watched the Funimation dub. And I mean, I don't think I've watched clips of the Ocean dub, and from what I've heard, it's not the best. Like, it just doesn't. Isn't the Ocean dub the over 9000? Isn't that where Vegeta? Yeah. That's what I thought.
Well, the thing about the Ocean dub is that, and I'll go into detail one of these days about all this stuff, but basically just the Cliff Notes version is that it's pros and cons. It was heavily edited. I mean, heavily. They cut 67 episodes down to 53. There was a lot of editing with the violence. Blood was taken completely out of the show. Hell became the home for Infinite Losers. That's where they got that from. Just so many edits. It almost bastardized the show in many, many ways. But in my opinion, the vocal cast was really, really good. Now, Schemmel and Sabit and those guys, they did get better as time went on because they did redub Dragon Ball Z for the Orange Bricks, and they did do it for Kai, obviously. And they're really good now, don't get me wrong. But when they first started, they really were very inexperienced. Even they've admitted that. Whereas the Ocean cast were like veteran voice actors. Brian Drummond, Scott McNeil, Ian James Corlett. These are guys who did so many 90s cartoons. They were just the cream of the crop, especially Scott McNeil. Scott McNeil has been in more animes in the 90s than anybody that I can think of, which was the original voice of Piccolo. So I do believe that he is a superior Piccolo than Chris Sabat. Some people might not agree with me, and that's fine. But what's weird about the Ocean dub, I don't even know if you even have heard of this, because in Australia it's like a different world, but there is no Frieza saga of the Ocean dub. It's very weird. When the Ocean group got called back to redub Dragon Ball Z for the Canadian market, they called them back, and they started with Trunks arriving. So if you're watching Dragon Ball Z in Canada, the only way you saw the end of the Frieza saga, all the stuff that happened with Krillin dying and all that, is if you watched it either on DVD or if you watched the Funimation dub. So it was so weird going back and forth between voices. But I will say that the Ocean dub got significantly worse as time went on. More edits, the script changes. They used the Funimation scripts basically, but they made more changes. The original, there's 2 Gokus, there's 3 Gokus. It's a mess. It's a mess. So those are kind of the pros and cons of the Ocean dub, I guess. Cliff Notes version. There's more details, but that's just the short version.
I mean, all I have to say to that is that you must be the absolute master, the epitome epitome of every single dub known to Dragon Ball Z. Like, you were just throwing out facts left and right. Like, oh my god, I didn't even know like half of these things that you were just telling me. Like,
well, that wasn't even the original dub. There was also the Harmony Gold dub, which came out before, and the Harmony Gold dub was like another group of veteran voice actors in the 80s. They did, so trip out on this one. They dubbed Dragon Ball movies 1 and 3, which is, you know, Legend of Shenlong or Curse of the Blood Rubies and Mystical Adventure, and they dubbed the first 5 episodes of Dragon Ball, you can find the movies on YouTube. You can watch them anytime you want. The voices are pretty cool. Goku's name is Zero for some reason. I don't even know about that. But those first 5 episodes they dubbed, nobody has been able to find them. There have been claims. It's almost like we're talking about Bigfoot here. There have been claims for 15 years that these episodes exist, but not a soul has been able to find these things, man. So I don't even know. I'm starting to question their existence. I remember 5 years ago, I read on Kanzenshuu that there's actually an ocean dub version of Kai. But again, where is it? It's been years. These are like the urban legends of Dragon Ball that people hear about, but we might never see it. We might never even find these things, but they're supposedly out there. And then there's also the Malaysian dub, which is horrible, and then of course the Big Green dub, which is my personal favorite. But that's another story for another day.
All these dubs, I've only heard of the Ocean dub and the Funimation dub. So guys, if you want to know anything about Dragon Ball Z, go to this man's channel. Your mind will be blown.
I haven't even done videos on the dubs yet. Well, I will say this though, if you want to have a good time, bro, honestly, have a good time, just go to YouTube, type in, and don't pause this video when we're done. Go to YouTube and type in the Big Green dub. You will not believe your eyes, bro. Or your ears. You will not pick. The reason why it's called the Big Green dub is because Piccolo's name is Big Green. So that's his name. That's his name in the show.
So that's why Team 4-Star, is that why they referenced Dende as Little Green?
That's it. And another one is, why do they call him Whiskers the Wonder Cat? Because in the Harmony Gold dub of Mystical Adventure, his name is Whiskers the Wonder Cat. Team 4-Star has a lot of those little inside jokes, but if you look up like the Big Green dub or the Malaysian dub, when you listen to the Malaysian dub, you'll think it is Team 4-Star. That's how bad / good it is. So I encourage everybody to go to YouTube and look that up because it's very funny. I had a great time listening to those.
That sounds absolutely amazing. But now moving on to the final question of this video. It's a similar question, but the best versions of Dragon Ball, Dragon Ball Z, or Dragon Ball GT. I don't know if this guy's referring to dubs or like... He's probably referring to dubs. But for me personally, it's Bruce Falconer with the Funimation dub. That's what I grew up on, and that's probably what I'm just going to keep watching till the day I die.
Yeah, you're one of many people who has said that. For me personally, of course, I'm from a different generation. I always cater to the Japanese dub. It's my thing. I love Shinsekai Kikuchi. I love the Japanese version, and I feel personally, I've said this many times, I feel like if you are a hardcore fan of Dragon Ball, you should watch it in Japanese at least once. I'm not saying you have to favor it or you have to, love it as much as I do. Certainly, everybody has their own opinion, but you should watch it at least once. Not for the voices or for like the music, more so for the script changes, because the script changes in Z, the original Funimation dub, are really bad. Whereas the Kai dub, I actually feel that the dub of Kai is superior in English to the Z dub, and this is going to sound really weird, but I feel that the Japanese Kai dub is inferior to the Z dub, because when you listen to the Kai dub in Japanese, their voices are like, they sound really lazy. Like they sound like they're phoning it in, you know what I mean? They've already done it sorry, edit that out. They've already done it like 15 years ago. But no, what I was going to say was, and of course, if you speak a different language, if you're a Latino, Latin American dub is the way to go. But but you're right. Like, there's no other versions other than the dubs. Like, maybe he's talking about like Z versus Kai, but he also mentioned GT, and that's a tough one to answer as far as DB and GT. Because honestly, like the Dragon Ball dub from Funimation was great. I really enjoyed it.
Yeah,
and
me too.
And the GT one, I sounded fine, but I haven't actually watched it on the home video version, so I don't know how that sounds like. But I don't know what to tell you, bro. It's just, that's kind of my opinion. I think you should watch it in Japanese at least once to be aware of the script changes. But after that, if you want the most accurate English dub, the Kai dub does have the most accurate scripts because Chris Sabat himself supervised the translation, whereas Barry Watson, who is like Lucifer to the Dragon Ball community. He supervised the old one and made a bunch of changes, and you know, whatever. I'm rambling at this point.
That's very interesting. And I was just scrolling up the Ask FM page, and I said that this was going to be the last question, but I just saw the question of the day, and it kind of relates to this Q&A, because this Q&A is obviously like related to Dragon Ball Z and all things, you know, of that nature. And the question of the day actually is, who is your favorite fictional character? Now, for me, it's Vegeta every single time. And since I recently started watching Death Note again, I'm probably going to say Vegeta and Light Yagami. That's just, they're the two of my most favorite fictional characters, and I really want to get your opinion on this, Geekdom, because it's actually really cool that this is our question of the day, because usually the questions of the day are completely ridiculous.
Favorite fictional character ever?
Yeah, of all time, all time.
I don't know. I'm like right now, like I'm scanning in my brain here, right? Like who my favorite fictional character, and like I like Frieza, I like Luke Skywalker, I like Wolverine. I'm just throwing the people who I like out. I like Deadpool, I like Thanos a lot. Thanos, I love him. I'm just throwing people out, you know. I like Batman. I love Batman. That's another good one. I don't know if I have a favorite, bro, because that's a loaded freaking question, dude. You know what? I'm gonna hit you with one right now, bro. It's gonna throw you for a loop. My favorite fictional character of all time is Odysseus from the Odyssey. Because if you want to read a story about a manly, first of all, it's the story that every other story is based off of. The Odyssey is the manliest story ever told. Manly, bro. We're talking about balls, all right? And if you go to YouTube and you type The Odyssey, you can watch the 1997 like 4-hour movie. It was cut into 2 parts, and it's just fantastic. I know it's kind of out of left field, but I love The Odyssey because it was the first like epic story. Even Dragon Ball has copied from it because it's like an epic long journey. It's the hero's journey, but it was the first story ever told back in like the BC millions of years ago. Great. That's my pick. Out of left field, that's my pick.
I mean, I've never heard of the Odyssey before, but I mean, if it has balls, I'm down.
Dude. So check it out. I don't care. Put this in the video or not. All right. The Odyssey is about a guy who goes off to war, and with Achilles, you know, it's Greek mythology, and you know, Achilles gets his Achilles heel cut, you know, the whole thing. And then he has to, like, you know, they go to war to Troy or whatever, and he has to make it home. But what happens is Poseidon, the god of water, helps him win the war, but he doesn't thank Poseidon. He just kind of gets real arrogant and real cocky. So Poseidon sends his ship, like, you know, he controls the ocean.
Right.
Sends his ship like somewhere else. So he runs into a Cyclops, right? And the Cyclops, like, they get the Cyclops drunk because he refuses to let them leave. And so all this stuff's going on, right? All this, like, he's going through this epic quest where he has to go like to hell to get like a potion that will give him like the ability to like move the ship to, you know, to where he's supposed to go. But then he ends up on this island where this witch turns his men into pigs, and then after that he finds another witch who seduces him for 7 years. Dude, it's like the most epic story. Meanwhile, at his house, like, or at his city that he built with his bare hands, his wife is being seduced by all these like suitors who want to take his place, and his son is growing up. His son's kind of like Gohan, and like the whole thing ends with him coming back home. I'm not gonna spoil it completely because you should see it. He comes back home and he has to retake the land from, or his city from the suitors. Bro, it's so freaking manly. There's nothing manlier than a guy going off to war, having sex with goddesses, and then coming back to his city and slaughtering a bunch of dudes and taking his town back. I'm sorry for that rant, but I just love that story.
Absolutely. I'm definitely going to check that out later on, maybe when we finish this. But that has been all the questions for today, guys. Hopefully you have enjoyed. I don't know how long this video has been. It looks like it's been 20 minutes. I'm not too sure. But as always, guys, if you have enjoyed, I will leave a link to this website where you can ask me a bunch of questions. Hopefully I can have Geekdom on like sometime again in the future. This was really fun. Definitely. And yeah, I'll leave a link to Geekdom's channel down below. And as always, I will see you in the next Dragon Ball Z video.